The first month is pretty clear. Just you have these first 5 days. The kids start. You have Labor Day. The second month, the school month, there's nothing, no breaks or anything. There's no holidays. There's no trainings. It's just straight school for 20 days. Then the third calendar month in October, if you recall back on the previous page, October is one of the months we had to have faculty senate meetings. So it's a full day the students do not attend. The first half of that day is training for the teachers, and the second half of the day is our faculty senate meeting. And that's all that's on that particular month. You'll see, you can't read this, but at the bottom you'll see 180 days and 20 non-instructional days. That makes up the contract. And if you get anything wrong in here, it just blows the whole thing up and you have to start over. It won't accept your calendar. The fourth school month, of course, we have a holiday this year for Election Day, which is always on Tuesday, the 5th of November. Then Veterans Day this year is on a Monday, so you can see it. The holidays are all in yellow. Then we get to Thanksgiving break, and we have this full week. There's no school for kids or employees. So that week from the 25th to the 29th, the kids are off. Then we come back until Christmas break, and the last day for teachers and students is actually the 20th, and then they're off until the kids come back on the 6th of January. The teachers come back on the 3rd of January. So they come back a day early to work on report cards and get ready for second semester. So the kids have a 2-week break for Christmas break. The teachers a little bit less than that. Now this day here is actually a work day for teachers, but we give them the latitude to have their faculty senate meeting after school in their own time, anytime during the month of December. And we also allow them, there's certain safety classes they have to take every year. It's a multitude of hours that everybody has to take. Every employee, including me, has to take it. So we give them compensation day of being on the 23rd of December for them to do that at home on their own time. So we give them the 23rd of December off, so they don't come that day. So everybody's off. Then the next month, Martin Luther King Day is the only day we have. Then in February, again, one of those months we have to have faculty senate. This is on February the 19th, half a day for, the kids aren't here at all, but half a day for training and half a day for faculty senate meeting. Then we go to spring break. Now here's a place where we're probably going to make a change. We have spring break set for the week after Easter. I think from a lot of the comments I saw, and I think they're very legitimate, I don't see an issue with it at all, it's awfully close to the end of school. So we're going to probably move that week up and have it the week before Easter instead of the week after Easter. So that'll make it a bit more in the middle of April instead of the end of April. So it actually starts here like on the 11th. It's not Good Friday, but that's the day we would have our faculty senate day. And then that's the week that we'll probably end up taking school off and having kids back in school there. The last month of school, of course, Memorial Day. And then here you have the last day that you would have for students is the 27th of May. That's assuming that you don't have to make up more than 10 snow days. If you have to make up 10 snow days, let's say you miss 11 days, then you have to take this first OS day on May 28th and use that day. If you have 2 days past your 10, you have to use those 2 days. So if you don't, which we don't anticipate that happening, all of this calendar slides back and the teachers actually get out on the 28th day of May instead of in June. Now, we designed this calendar with one thing in mind, and one of the criticisms that we received is, well, all you're doing this for is trying to help the high school out. No, what we're trying to do, we're trying to end our first semester before Christmas. Because after Christmas break, the kids are off 2 weeks, and then this year they came back, we had 6 snow days, and they still hadn't taken their finals yet. So they've been out of school for 3 or 4 weeks in between having class and getting ready for finals. So, but the calendar will not allow you to schedule less than 83 days in a semester. So if you move this calendar up and start the kids a little later, then you can't possibly end your semester by Christmas. And every teacher I've talked to at the high school, and I haven't talked to them all, but the ones I've talked to, every one of them said the same thing. Please change this calendar so the semester can end at Christmas. And then come back after Christmas break and start fresh with the second semester. So that's the reason we're looking at doing that. Like I said, we are probably going to move Easter break. The comments there were 6 main comments that I'm going to just talk about briefly. And what I will do is when we are totally finished, the window closes on our survey Friday, I think. I will put on Facebook, I won't answer every single comment, because some of them I probably shouldn't answer, but some of the people say the same things over and over, so I'm not going to do each one, but I'll address each issue. For instance, one of them was Easter break. They said Easter break's too late. It's too close to the end of the year. Can you move it back up a week? I think it makes a lot of sense. So that's probably something we're going to do. School needs to start after Labor Day and end in May. It won't work with 180 days, and we're required for 180 days. Now, can you fit it in there? You can, but that means cutting down your Thanksgiving break or cutting it out, Christmas break, spring break, all those things have to go in order to get 180 days after Labor Day. Sometimes Labor Day doesn't come until the 7th day of September. You know, sometimes it comes on the 1st, sometimes it comes on the 7th. That's the latest, the 7th. I've been in education 51 years, and believe me, I know by the time Memorial Day comes, these kids are done. And the employees are done too. They are shot. And so to ask them to come to the middle of June, I think is just, I don't think it's wise. So I don't recommend that. Because I'm just one person, but I don't recommend doing it. The next thing they said is the calendar's taking too much of their summer from their students. They're getting at least 11 weeks off for summer. If they're out at Memorial Day and they don't come back till the 19th day of August, that's a lot of time off. And I know some vacations are different. Some people don't get their vacations till the middle of August. I understand that. Some of them get them in early June too. So if you bring them to the middle of June, those people's going to say, this is our vacation time. You're making our kids come to the middle of June. So there's no set way of making a calendar that's going to fit everybody's needs. There just isn't. Several people wrote, I'd much rather my kids go to school in the middle of June than in the middle of August. Well, that's, you know, there's things to consider here. When you go into June, first of all, if you go into middle of June, your graduation can't be until 5 days short of school ending. In other words, you can't have graduation before Memorial Day and keep kids till 15th day of June. You're only allowed 5 days by code to move it back. So that means graduation is going to be could be June 8th, 9th, something like that. A lot of these kids have jobs for the summer already. They're going to start a job, or they're going to college, and they got to get all their transcripts ready, or make a little extra money so they can go to college in the fall. Or some of them, I mean, when I was in Pocahontas County, we had a lot of kids that joined the service, and they had to literally, and I'm not exaggerating, leave graduation that day and go to the service. That was the day they had to report. So there's a lot of moving parts to this you have to consider when you're designing a calendar. And then the last one was ending the semester at Christmas is not that important. Well, it's probably not so much for elementary or maybe middle, but for the high schools it's pretty important that they finish that semester. There's only 2 or 3 counties in the state that don't finish their semester at Christmas. And so that's what the calendar looks like. Like I said, we probably will definitely move this up a week back this way, so it'll be more in the middle of April instead of the end of April. We've always just kind of followed it where Easter was. We'd have Good Friday off, then Easter Sunday, and the next week. But Easter is late this year. This year it's early. For us, this current year, it starts on the 31st of March, I think Easter break does. And that's too early. So it's too cold to go to the beach in March 31st. But that's our draft. It is a draft. We'll continue to look at all the comments that we get and sit down, and then we have another meeting in 2 weeks. And at that time, we'll make our final recommendation. And by then, everybody will get my Facebook post on why we made the decisions we made. And like I say, it's not going to please everybody. There's just no way you can. But we do think it'll be a good calendar that'll meet the needs of all our kids. Okay?
Graduation.
Graduation. Yeah, graduation. And I'll tell you about, I'm glad you brought that up, because we talked about it this morning in our staff meeting.
Good.
The reason it's here on the 22nd, it's a Thursday. And what we're considering doing, and I've talked to both principals about this, we could have one graduation like at 1 o'clock or something, and the other one in the evening. The reason we picked that date, it's Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people don't want their Memorial Day weekend messed up. And the reason we didn't do Friday and Saturdays, that's state track and field meeting. And so a lot of kids participate in state track meet. And so we don't want them to have to decide, are you going to go to graduation or are you going to go run track? You know, we don't want to put that decision on them. That's the reason we picked that day. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, at this time we'll reconvene today's regular meeting. And the first thing is the approval of the agenda, and I believe we do have a correction to make on that.
Yeah, 8A, our representatives can't come tonight. There was a funeral that one of them needed to attend. A family member who passed away, and her friend wanted to go with her, so they aren't here tonight. And we had a delegation from Chris Kelly, who had signed up, and he's going to come at a different time. So those two will not be on the agenda tonight. That's the only changes I have. Unless you want to do an executive session. We do an executive session.
Yes. Executive session after personnel.
After 17, do it training.
Okay.
I need to make a motion on that. For personnel items, correct?
Okay. All right, number 7, approval of minutes of the meetings held on January 8th and January 22nd, 2024. Anybody have anything that we need to correct before we?
January 8th, 8C. It's for the cost of the lighting, it says $397.578. Of course, that should be 397,578.
Okay, that's a simple fix.
Yeah.
That's it.
You see what he's talking about, Kim?
8C.
Oh, yep.
Anything else? Okay, how about the 22nd? Anything on the 22nd?
One thing, did we change the LSIC to for at that time, or did they come late? It's still not listed for
I
on
think
that.
it was the next one.
Did it come?
Yeah,
later?
it came.
Yeah, okay. So we're okay.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the meetings held on January 8th and January 22nd?
So moved.
Mr. Moose makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferguson. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have superintendent's information updates.
Just a couple of real quick announcements today. First of all, the cornerstone ceremony will be held on the Glade Creek site at 1 o'clock on Saturday, May the 4th. We need to contact the governor's office, SBA, and ZMM, and I have already contacted SBA and ZMM about this, and I think they're going to actually reach out to the governor's office to invite them to that ceremony. March 1st is the deadline for our employees that are in either service or professional that are going to be retiring at the end of the year. If they turn in their paperwork before March 1st, then they are entitled to a $500 bonus at the end. Now, this year is the first year that we've done it for service, but the board felt that They need to be treated exactly like the teachers. The state does not give us money for this. But if we have a service personnel who decides to retire and they turn in their retirement papers to us, by March 1st, they will be entitled to a $500 bonus also. So that's March 1st. It's got to be in our hands. And at the next meeting, we'll be putting on the agenda a discussion with possible action concerning the Richwood High School football field light situation. That'll be something we'll be discussing. And also, we'll be talking about the sewer system at Nicholas County High School. We're going to be pursuing a MIP grant for that this summer through the SBA. We think we have a really good chance to get this done. And so we're going to be talking about that at our next board meeting. And that's all I have.
Excuse me, Mr. Bean, you
Sure.
said Cornerstone, June 4th?
May 4th.
May 4th. May 4th at 1 o'clock. You got something going on that day?
I was hoping it was June 1st. That's okay. No.
Will I'm sure the employees will be reminded of that May or March.
Yeah, I think Kristen sends that out to all our employees. The March 1st deadline, yeah, we do it multiple times.
Okay.
We need to have it on Facebook too, Chris. We can do that.
And, you know, the whole important part about that is if they're going to retire, it gives the personnel director a heads up so that, you know, we only have so long to make the personnel decisions.
Right.
So sometimes you can move somebody into that you have RIF, but anyway, there's a lot of reasons for that. So, and I've always felt like the service personnel should be treated just like professionals, you know,
Yeah.
as far as the perks of the job. So, delegations, we did have one that was canceled. Do we have anybody else?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Dwayne Bragg.
Oh, what?
Dwayne Bragg.
You want me to go up there? Can I, man,
Yeah, we want you up here to
that's a
speak
long
to
walk
us.
for somebody my age.
He signed up with you?
Yes, he did. It's over on a piece of paper. I couldn't find the delegation page, so I just wrote it on a piece of paper.
Okay.
I'm going to stand here and look at you guys instead of back here. The reason I'm here,
First of all, please
you can't hear me?
state who you are and where you're from, please.
Okay. Dwayne Bragg, Craigsville, retired Navy. Anyway, I'm here representing a bunch of people who want to play pickleball. We started this summer down at the park, and I've been getting calls asking me the possibility of using Old Main Gym. It would require us taping some courts on the floor, buying a couple of nets, which I would probably do. But after sitting there and thinking about it, I think what I need to know is who could be a point of contact, because I talked to, I think, either Rick or Roy first, and Summersville owns the gym, so I called Summersville. They said, talk to you guys. All I need is a point of contact, somebody I can work with and explain what we would like to do and what it would take. And by then it will probably be summer and we'll be playing back at the park.
Well, it's leased.
Right.
The only reason we're involved is because it's leased because of the flood. And so FEMA pays the lease so that the kids have a place to practice and play.
Now, we would never interfere with any kind of ball practice or anything like that.
Yeah,
I've got the schedule for the ball game, all of it.
Y'all usually play in the morning, don't you, like
Right.
9, 10 o'clock in the morning? But
Weekends, anytime. Right now, I drive to Ansted on Friday mornings and play.
and Dwayne, I know the city is going to put a new floor in that.
Right.
May. So it's probably going to be down for a while.
Yeah. Is the school going to still keep it leased after this year? Are there going to be any?
It will be leased until our new
A couple years
facilities
leased.
are
Okay,
finished.
so maybe I should wait till like next September or October after the new flooring and come back?
Yeah, and that would give us time to check and see who the correct point of contact would be for you too.
Okay.
Whether it's, you know, I'm not sure who that would be, but that give me time to figure out who that would be.
Okay, that would be great. Now, there's an organization, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Active Southern West Virginia. And, well, we have to join them, and, which I think is a great idea. You have to sign a waiver also, in case somebody would get hurt. So I would probably talk with them and see if they would like to become involved, because then you would have a block captain or a community captain that would be responsible for whatever went on in the gymnasium. So, yeah, I think actually, after thinking about it, to a point of contact to
Okay.
somebody I could sit with and talk, that'd be great.
Okay. I'll get your number and I'll get that information before we can get it to you.
Okay, I'll text you my number.
Okay, sounds good.
I think I'll go home and eat now.
We've got
Thanks a lot, guys.
We got a lot of big stuff to talk about. You sure you want to leave?
I'll watch it on TV. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have presentation discussion above and beyond award. So,
This is always the most pleasurable part of the evening, and tonight, this is our first Student Above and Beyond Award, which is even more exciting. I would like to introduce Miss Lethea Priest, and she's going to actually do the introduction, but this student was nominated by Miss Duffield at Mount Lookout Elementary.
Okay, I'm just going to read the letter that Ms. Duffield sent to Mr. Beam and Ms. Weitzel and the board members, okay? And Jackson, I do want to say before I begin, Jackson is a student in my classroom. I teach first grade at Mount Lookout Elementary. So Jackson, you want to come up and stand with me? He's a little backward. Okay. With Valentine's Day coming up, I wanted to share some love that a first grader, Jackson Ryder, shared with the Mount Lookout Elementary staff. Prior to Christmas, Jackson had shared with his mother that he wanted to do something kind for the teachers and staff. He said that staff at the school is always providing a way for students to earn prizes, such as our PBIS school store, classroom stores, and prize boxes. He stated that the teachers and staff deserve to have an opportunity to select a prize also. He asked if he could buy items and bring a prize box for staff, and at a parent engagement event held on November 15th, he brought a large basket with goodies such as coffee mugs, candles, salt and pepper shakers, small yard tools, pictures, and home welcome signs for each staff member to select an item. What a thoughtful gesture and demonstration of love. Jackson is a student that definitely went above and beyond to recognize others and deserves to be recognized himself for his extreme kindness and receive the Above and Beyond Award. Okay, are you ready? Smile. Student. Okay, I think I got you.
Congratulations. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I'm sure your parents are proud of you, and that's a direct reflection on you all.
It sure is.
Awesome. So, okay, next we have Matt Conger with Sinclair Digital, do a presentation.
Brought a couple folks with me, if that's okay.
Reinforcement?
I do, yes. Large brain trust here. But, thank you for your time. Thanks, everybody. I don't know if we can top that last one, but we're going to do our best. So I'm Matt Conger. I'm with Sinclair Digital. And this is Jeff Krause, who's with VoltServer, and Jeff Corbett, who's with D'Agostino Electronic Services out of Pittsburgh. And so we're here to talk about cost-effective and safe low-voltage DC power infrastructure and lighting for the new Glade Creek pre-K through 8 school. And infrastructure is not always the most exciting topic, but it's actually quite an important one. And it's the necessary foundation to allow your school to be a great 50-year asset and be flexible over its life. And so the systems that we've been working with ZMM with as far as proposing the design around that for the lighting and more, will show or have shown that we can reduce the cost to build these structures as well as the cost to operate those buildings, both from a maintenance standpoint and from operational costs. And then how that lays the necessary foundation to be able to add equipment down the road very easily without having to bring in outside labor to support your building, and to also be able to service your building in a very safe manner without fear of electrocution when it goes to that. So with that, I want to have Jeff Corbett speak from D'Agostino, who has experience doing this technology locally, and he'll speak to their experiences with deploying these types of systems and then their interest in pursuing this project.
Yeah, so again, as he mentioned, I'm Jeff Corbett with D'Agostino Electronic Services. We're a 50-year-old electrical contractor based in Pittsburgh, and very familiar with this technology. Bob D'Agostino, our president, has been following the technology for the last decade, has read all of the patents, which blows me away. And then the PoE technology that might be going in as well is technology has been around for 20 years. So what we're looking at is not new. It's technology that we handle as a company, and we are very interested in coming down here and helping put this project together. Probably a stumbling block that a lot of projects like this see are contractors who don't know how to get support for the technology, but we're a company who makes sure at the end of the day that the project comes together and works the way that it's intended. And so, yeah, we just wanted to come down here and express our interest in helping you all build a school that's forward-thinking and excellent school.
Can you name a couple of the sites that are using it in the Pittsburgh area real quick?
So, Acrisure Stadium, the home of the Steelers, we're the preferred technology provider for them. A year and a half ago, Verizon expanded their cellular network for the stadium, and we were the contractor that put that in for them. 90,000 feet of cable and 450 antenna locations. We've deployed it there. We've deployed it at PPG Paints as well. So this is something we're very familiar with and have a good handle on how to manage. PNC Park? PNC Park has it as well, yes.
And then this is Jeff Krause. He's with VoltServer, so they're the creators of one of the technologies that we utilize, and he's going to speak about why you're not seeing it every day and where it's being done today.
So digital electricity, I work for VoltServer. Digital electricity is the foundation for how we transmit that power, like in a safe manner. And one of the things we hear a lot is that we haven't heard of you before. Where are you deployed? We're actually deployed all over the place. It's just with T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. We're like the vendor that they use to power all the radios. So if you've ever gone to an NFL stadium, I power the network that you're on with your phone. If you ever go to a college stadium, I'm powering the network that you're on with your phone. We have then taken that technology and using the same concepts to power other things within an in-building. Lighting, access points, cameras, anything you need to power, we're able to provide that bulk power safely. So that's the really cool thing about the technology. Like Matt mentioned, it's a building block. So once this technology is in, you want to add a camera, it's just a matter of plugging it into a device. You don't have to do a secondary build in order to bring in those new technology later. Because you know how it is, every day there's a new technology that you might want to implement. This makes it a nice, easy way for you to implement that new service.
Yeah, so we wanted to be here just to address some of the concerns that were brought up at the last meeting, and then also let you know that we're going to have our first meeting with the electrical engineer from ZMM this Friday. And so we look forward to speaking with them and then answering any questions that you guys might have. We're here to help.
Now, Matt, where are you out of?
Fort Worth, Texas.
And you had to bring the guy from Pittsburgh?
I did, yeah.
You know this is West Virginia.
I know. It's a quick drive.
A lot of Steelers fans.
I got a Buffalo Bills fan here too.
All right.
Well, the first question I was going to ask is if you had a working relationship with ZMM. If they knew who you guys were.
They do not, and they do now. So we've met Chris Campbell a couple times now. He's seen the demonstration system deployed at the high school, and so we're looking forward to speaking with those guys further. And to that point, like it's a lot of what we do is driven out of the IT industry. So we're taking proven practices from computer networks or phone networks, and we're applying that safe, low voltage technology to traditional electrical build. And so buildings are still it takes a long time to change the way buildings are built. It's a very fragmented marketplace. It's a very slow moving marketplace. And so technologies take a while to be adopted. And so that's why we put together this documentation to show you that it is being done, and it's being done at scale. It's just new to ZMM.
So do you have any schools?
We do, yes. So we have some in Alabama, Texas, Colorado, as well as Pennsylvania. I don't have, we've not one in West Virginia yet. However, from a collegiate level, WVU does have some of the technology deployed at the arena. Is that where it is? Yeah. Just not at the high school or pre-K through 8 level here locally.
What all does this control in the system?
Sure. So think of it as like when you build a building, you have electrical that you pull, and it provides power to endpoints. So we use low voltage safe power to power endpoints. So everything from your lighting, your cameras, your access points, your phones, your computers, your and your did I say cameras already? Clocks, IP clocks, and USB charging stations will be powered by that. But then on top of it, there's also a control layer. So you have, when you build a building now, you have to meet energy code, and energy code requires these things called lighting controls. And so it also includes the controls that meets the control intent required by energy code.
What's the lifespan of this compared to the traditional copper?
Yeah, sure. So this will be a 50-year asset, the same way that there are computers, the same way there's a computer in your car, and those computers last a very long time. It'll definitely support the 50-year life of this asset. There will be times where like a power supply may fail, the same way that a power supply or a lighting driver might fail in a light fixture. But what you'll find in our system, or this technology, excuse me, it'll eliminate 2,700 points of failure within the school. So every light in a traditional building has this thing called a driver, and it converts power, but anyways, it fails faster. So we eliminate all those drivers and eliminate those failure points. So you might have 10 points to service versus 2,700 unique points across the school.
Maintenance, does maintenance require special training, or are we gonna have to bring you guys in?
No, sir. Yeah, so both your IT staff as well as your, if you have electrical staff in-house, can support it. And for the main reason is because it's actually safe low voltage power, so you don't have to worry about anyone getting electrocuted or harmed by the equipment.
Well, the big thing is how much money is it going to save us?
Yeah, so you're looking at about 11 to 19% of the capital cost to build the systems, and that's specific to lighting. What I've not been able to calculate is all the other incremental CapEx savings of the lighting system, because the DC power infrastructure supports the cameras, the computers, the USB-C charging, the access points. All those things, we're eliminating what used to be siloed electrical and siloed backup power, or UPSs, and we're using one power distribution system to support all those endpoints, and that leads to further savings. So we'll be able to eliminate circuit breakers, load centers, copper, conduit, additional runs of Ethernet, and all that becomes merged or converged together on a single power infrastructure.
So he's got it as 11 to 19% savings. That has to do with the lighting aspect of it. And what we're trying to say is, if you wanted to add a new technology, like an access point, a wireless access point to this room, it would be a matter of plugging it into the box that's in this room and mounting it in the room, not having to bring everything all the way back, because the building block is already there. You already have that powered device here, and now it's just a matter of feeding off of it. So
I just had one question. I talked to Chris Campbell. I think one of the concerns was if he writes the design that we put out for bid to Ural's technology, is there a competitor that will be bidding also? Because my understanding, you got to have a couple.
Absolutely, yeah. Typically in public construction, it's a three name is what they usually call it, 3 name or 3 bidders. And so yes, there'll be 3 name providers of things like light fixtures, 3 name provider of the DC power. Anyways, yes, there'll be competition there, both at the vendor level, but also at the contractor installer level. Cool. Well, just a reminder, we have our meeting with ZMM on Friday, and we'll go from there. And if you have any additional questions, we're happy to address them.
Is it meeting at the high school?
It's actually an online meeting. I don't know if we've been working to get to this point, so it's going to be an online meeting to start with. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Do you have an extra pamphlet?
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Mr. Benji talking about sending me to AT&T Stadium to check this
I did not check it out. I like that. I'm like, I'm going to go on.
Okay. Action items. A, discussion with possible action on putting the updated preschool program policy out for public comment.
Good evening. What we are proposing is just to strike one sentence in our current preschool policy to bring this in alignment with policy 2525 of the WBDE. We are required to serve any 3-year-old with an IEP and all 4-year-olds. This sentence is for 3-year-olds that are non-IEP.
When I was at the superintendent's conference last week, I made a point to every superintendent I could find. I asked them a simple question. Do you you all serve 3-year-olds that do not have an IEP, and 100% of them said no. They do not serve the 3-year-olds without an IEP.
And so on our second month of this year, all of those 3-year-olds are adjusted out of our October 2nd count. So we receive no funding for those 3-year-olds.
So they don't count our numbers at all?
No.
That's a lot of money.
And you learned at, with
And-
Bowles Rice,
Yes, that we should not be using state aid to support students that we are not eligible to serve. That would just be like a 19-year-old that would come back to high school and ask to come back. They're not eligible to be served. So we're trying to align what we are required to do with state policy.
I'm sorry, how many 3-year-olds without IEPs do you think we have in the system?
I don't have the exact number currently, but there are quite a few.
I think it's in the 40s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it would be.
And do we ever have to turn away 4-year-olds because the
We are
3-year-old?
not allowed to turn away a 4-year-old that wants to be served. We are required to serve them.
At the last board meeting, I mentioned in my comments, we wanted our 4-year-old parents to get registered for these. In March, they're doing the signups to fill some of these spots. You know, Head Start wants to fill 122 spots, and they did a lot of 3-year-olds to fill those spots. And I asked the question that, what if you don't reach 122 spots? They said, well, we lose funding. Well, we're losing funding too, you know. And if we are not supposed to be using public dollars to fund students that we're not getting public dollars for, then that's why none of the other counties are doing this. So it's.
This is for classrooms that we employ the teacher and the aide in the classrooms. This is not for Head Start classrooms.
Yeah, if Head Start wants a classroom with 3-year-olds, they can do that. No problem with that.
So what we're proposing is this to go out on comment as an amendment to the policy.
Any other discussion? All right, do we have a motion to put the action item A out for public comment?
And how many days you want it to go out to? I'm not sure how many days you normally.
Whoever makes the motion, put that in your motion. How many days you want it out? Typically,
It's 20 and 30.
Usually 20.
It's never more than 30.
yeah, we don't. I would do it the least amount you could, so you could, because we're going to need to know this for personnel, so you are. So, and that's 20 school days, correct? So does anybody want to make the motion to accept action item A?
I'll make the motion, put it out for 20 days.
Okay, Mr. Green makes a motion to put action item A out for public comment for 20 days. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Berry. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consent items, finance.
First up is payment of current invoices. That should be in your packet. You have them?
Yes.
I'll make sure this one.
Well, yeah, I just can't get them up yet.
So I noticed on this one, this is the one, there's a payment on here for Head Start, right? Let's see.
Yeah, there's one there somewhere.
It's for $19,000, wasn't it?
Yes, we,
19,500.
yeah, 19.5,
Where's that at, page
It's
one?
under AP on page
page
5.
5.
So what's it for?
Well, we are part of a collaborative with Head Start for pre-K. So not only are we paying for some teachers and some aides and some classrooms and some transportation charges for their buses, but we also have an agreement where we pay them this amount every month. I believe this is over a 10-month period, so yeah, we're paying them $195,000 a year. But what we're paying them for is to reimburse for their transportation expenses, mostly their staff, their buses, as part of our collaboration, and we pay for that out of our transportation. So then that's figured in the next, in 2 years, the next budget 2 years down the road, we'll get a percentage of that back in our transportation allowance. So yeah, that's an agreement. We've been doing that for a very long time. That's just part of our, we are mandated to collaborate with Friends Are Fun and Head Start in our pre-K program.
Yeah, I know we are, but are we getting, you say we're getting transportation costs back, what, 90%?
Yes, yeah, an average of 9%. And additionally, we have been talking to Head Start. We've been having some meetings with them about ways that we can potentially maybe consolidate some of our transportation services. And so in the future, we would not maybe be paying this much money to them. We've talked about some ways that we can consolidate some trips maybe and help save some money collaboration-wide, so that we're not duplicating the same services as Head Start is providing.
They provide their own transportation, we don't, is that correct?
They have some Head Start buses themselves, and they pay some drivers for those. And then we have some buses that we are now going to try to use those to transport some of those kids in some different areas so that they can utilize their buses for some areas that aren't being served. And then hopefully, potentially, they can cut down some of their bus routes, and we will be able to pick those up with our regular routes.
I noticed Math Field Day trophies too on here. And is that still paid for by the levy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The levy allows for educational enhancement, which that helps cover things like Math Field Day, spelling bees.
Social studies fair, science fair.
Right, right.
Anything else on current invoices? All right.
Okay. Good on that. The next item I have is there's a contract to be approved for Travel Tracker. And Alan talked to you guys about Travel Tracker maybe 2 meetings ago. And so
Yeah, did that cost go up? Was that,
It's for 2 years. It was for.
Well, you know, it's.
Did you quote us the 1 year, is that what?
Because it does say 2 years in one place, but then every item on there says per year.
It would be 40 a year.
Okay, that's what we've talked about before.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was the same. It's actually, I think I guessed 40 to 43, so it's right around, it's actually probably on the low end of what I guessed.
So with us purchase, if we purchase this, does that save us a position of somebody that would have to schedule all these trips and stuff? Or part of the position? Or am I asking something.
Well, we may be bringing some recommendations during personnel season that we really can't discuss
Okay.
right now. But it is a possibility of a portion of a person.
So where it says annual subtotal, 70,359.76, is that what we're gonna pay every year, or
It would be 40 a year. You see the,
why does it say annual then?
because they gave us a 2-year price. They gave us a 2-year price at the 80. And I don't have the exact document, so I'm going off memory, but the 2-year price was 80. And so that would be for 2 years.
It says it's
Yeah.
a year
Well,
one,
it-
year two subscription.
Yeah, if you look,
That's confusing because it says per year, and when I add it up, it comes to 70,359.
Yeah,
Did
that's
you add the-
not per year though.
Did you ask to add the 3% buy board discount?
No, and I didn't add the, the charge to put them in and all that stuff.
There is, and I'm not looking at it, I think there was, I'm guessing, I'm estimating on this, something around 13 to 15,000 for the initial setup.
16,295.
Yeah, that was the initial setup, we get all the equipment and all of that set up, and then annually it would be right around that 40.
Half of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. This is very confusing.
The way they quoted that was, I've had numerous conversations with them, and I'd asked for kind of we can only do things 1 year at a time, as far as contracts go, and so that they did give us a 2-year price.
With a little bit of a discount.
Yeah.
The 3% discount is going through a purchase cooperative called Buy Board, so that's what that 3% is there. I'm just looking through here, it is very confusing. One of these items says initial implementation fee, one-time charge of $750, so that wouldn't be coming back.
Right.
And then down here close to the bottom, the next to last item on that page shows 2 years of Safe Driver 360. So I would assume that $32,000, just half of that would be for year one and half of that would be for year two. And then, of course, there's some other stuff in here that probably makes up that. This travel tracker for routes, that's probably 2 years there. So taking that into consideration, it kind of makes more sense, but they're not spelling it out very well.
So this might be more of a question for Chris, I don't know, but so we got GPS on the buses now. Is this?
That will replace it. So we'll probably be able to keep some of them on a much smaller scale, but they're going to work with U.S. Cellular to kind of roll these new devices into that plan.
So the thing of it was, the GPS, were we getting funded for that?
Yeah, by the time it's all said and done, I think we're paying it's $1,200 a month for the current GPS one, and then by the time we get we're paying about $120 a month by the time we get our reimbursement. And I think that's reimbursable too.
It will be. So that'll kind of absorb some of that cost on that. Because we're going to roll that into kind of merge those together. So those would be, we'll be able to get that.
I think we're going to put the old on the cars with the new on the buses.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
we'll go from 50-some devices from the old system to probably 10.
Right.
And so this contract where we can get reimbursed from the state for part of this. The only thing I'm looking at.
90%.
The only thing I'm looking at is, we know we have to cut, what, about $1 million out of the budget? And so every time you add a contract, then you have to cut somewhere else, so.
Right, well, so,
It's not that I'm against it.
so the one thing is we're gonna be able to use that, the first 2 years, we would be able to use the,
The ARP money,
yeah.
COVID money.
Okay.
COVID
This
money
would cover this
for that.
contract.
So it will cover that for the first 2 years. After 2 years, that'll give us kind of a good run to
See
see
if
how
we-
well we like it. If we don't like it in 2 years, we can't afford it in 2 years, we can go away with it.
Okay.
And so, or if we don't want to use all of the program, we can kind of cut it down, because this is the full package that they offer, while we have those funds. And so after 2 years, if we want to cut it down or eliminate it, we'll be able to do that.
Now, I'm personally a fan of Travel Tractor. We had it in Pocahontas County, and it helped us in a lot of ways. But the question I have for you, Kristen, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, I apologize. Are you comfortable with the wording of this contract?
Well,
Because it is a little bit confusing.
right, yeah, looking at it, I'll have to admit, it seems confusing. Now, the contract does say at the beginning, Kim just pointed out, I mean, it shows the dates, it shows a 2-year time period, and it shows the total amount. But we will get some clarification on that to make it a
Before we
little bit
enter
more.
into anything.
Before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a little bit unclear.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted to say then, this coming out of ARP money, then when that 2 years is over and we're paying $40,000 or whatever it is a year, yeah, that will come out of transportation. And as long as we don't have too many transportation expenses, our transportation expenses are calculated into not the next year, but the next year's budget at about 90%. So if we would ever get to a point where we're spending too much money in transportation, we're not going to be reimbursed.
Let's get rid of
But
it.
right now, we're okay, and we're okay in that limit. But if we start adding, if we start having ridiculous transportation expenses, then there's a cap to that we wouldn't be reimbursed after that.
Well, I know we have to cut our budget, so, you hate to, but in this case, it's really not technically in our budget for 2 years.
We're gonna save some money on GPS, right?
I'd say it'll probably end up being about the same, honestly.
Because this takes the place of GPS.
Now,
Yeah, it will. So right now, we do have GPS units that we're paying US Cellular.
Yeah.
So basically, when we put these in, it will take away that cost, but that cost will roll into this new cost. If that makes sense.
so some of the GPS.
Unfortunately, it does.
We would have GPS on all of our vehicles,
Right.
so all of our maintenance vehicles.
Right.
So that cost will remain, but it's a fraction of
Right.
what's going on now. So, yeah, that bill will go way down, but they'll still be a little bit there. And even with everything on it at this point now, I think it's about $1,200 a month, which we're only paying 10% of that. So $120 a month will probably go down to $20 a month.
Okay, so my question is the GPS. I know there's spots in the county.
It works everywhere.
It works everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just ask them for clarification. If this is a 2-year contract and the total amount is this 86, then we'll just ask them to break this down better as to
If
how
we're not
much of
comfortable
it.
with it, we won't sign the contract.
Right.
That's just part of it.
Yeah, if we can just have them be more
Clarify.
clear about how much of this is annual and how much of this is one time, maybe
So
that's a
we,
little more clear.
so we don't need to vote on this then, or do we? We're going to vote on it, and I'm just not, it's got a place for my signature. Just hold off on that
Right.
tonight, or? Is
I
that
mean, it's
what
up to you, but you could, I think that you could approve it as long as it's a 2-year contract for this much money, and then we could get some clarification.
Okay.
And if the clarification doesn't meet our needs, then we
We'll
don't
come back
sign
and
it.
say, no, we gotta look this again. We're going to sign it.
I mean, it's up to you.
So you want me to go ahead and sign it, but you're going to hold it? Is that what you're saying? Or do you want me to stop by and sign it after you check on it?
You want to just come by and sign it?
Or whatever
after?
you all want.
That would be better.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. That'd be Okay, and then just a couple other things that I wanted to mention that is not on here, but we had our audit last week. Our auditor was here for a few days, and We don't have his final report yet, but so far, so good. He didn't find anything major that we're even talking about, so that should be fine. And as soon as we get his report back, then I'll bring it to the board and let you guys look over it.
Does he audit you plus the salaries? Does he also audit the salaries? How they're distributed and the amounts and all that stuff? Is that an audit also?
He audits various things. He picks a sample of certain people's contracts and their personnel files. I mean, he doesn't audit every single person that's on our payroll. But yeah, he takes a sample of all of our invoices.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that's coming. And then also, in case you hear about, if you have complaints from people, the State Department of Education is putting out, they're changing their policy 8200, or they're clarifying it. So I had been telling everyone that we had to use only vendors who were registered with the state of West Virginia. So we had to get a copy of the proof that they were registered. Well, now it's even bigger than that, and we have to have, for every vendor that we have to have a copy of their W-9 form. We have to have a copy of their business registration certificate from the state tax department, and a copy of their business license from the Secretary of State's office.
Not from our state, right? Like if they're going out of state somewhere?
For any vendor that we pay, if they are doing business in the state of West Virginia, we have to have those items for them before they can be our vendor.
That's what they got written up for. That was the big comment was we would use people that weren't registered.
So now they're saying it's not registered, because, I mean, you kind of feel like if they register with one of those entities, they're registered with the state. But no, they have to have all three of those pieces of documentation before we can do business.
So I did have some questions on this, and it was about the Dollywood trips from various schools.
Right.
And so Dollywood is going to have to apply for a state business license.
I'm going to have to email for more clarification about Dollywood, because, for example, if you go to Tennessee and you eat in a restaurant, that restaurant is not doing business in the state of West Virginia, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to get that documentation from that restaurant because they're not trying to do business in our state. Dollywood, you're buying tickets, but you're going to go to Tennessee to use the tickets, but you can buy them online. And part of that was, if it's an online vendor doing business in the state of West Virginia, they have to be registered. So I think Dollywood's kind of a gray area, and I think we can totally work it out. I don't think it's anything that's going to keep us from letting the kids go to Dollywood, but we just have to get some clarification on exactly what we would need from them.
Okay. Do they provide us with a list of those people that are eligible? I mean, this is a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
No, when you're going to buy from a vendor, Christian, they may need to ask these questions. You need a W-9, you need business registration and stuff.
Right.
Which, if they're in the state.
And if they want to do business, they will, if they're doing business in the state of West Virginia, they're required to do that. So
right.
Yeah, but as a science teacher,
Right. Well, we're keeping a big spreadsheet of everybody that we already, as soon as we get those three pieces of information from a vendor, I'm putting it in a big spreadsheet and I'm sharing it with everyone so that they won't go back and duplicate that work. So once we know that this vendor is okay, then that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to go ask that vendor for that information. Once we have it, we have it. But a lot of the issues are, a lot of the places that we do business are online vendors, and so then they say, well, we're not in West Virginia. And we say, well, it doesn't matter if you're not in West Virginia. Then we direct them to the information on the state website that tells them that they still have to register, and then they either don't want to register, or they tell us that they don't have to because they're exempt, and this is why. It's just kind of a lot, and it's a lot for the schools. The schools have to do it. We have to do it here. I mean, everyone has to do it. So if you hear people complaining about that, that is totally, we've really tried to get out of it, but that's just the way that it's going to be. I mean, the Department of Ed is not excited about it. The Office of School Finances.
Who did this? Who's out?
Well, the state of West Virginia, it's not just the school system. The state of West Virginia requires, if you do business in the state of West Virginia, you have to register with the state of West Virginia. It's not an unreasonable requirement. They want to know who's doing business within the state so that they can target you. But the online and the internet is the big problem, how you police that.
Right, yeah, so if we're just talking about a business that's here in Summersville, chances are, you know, they're fine, and we can get all that information from them. But a lot of the places that we're buying things are online, and there's, well, for one thing, if it's a big company, it, you know, might take time to get to an actual person and say, hey, I need this and this and this from you. Or they might think that they don't have to do that because they're not a West Virginia company. So it's just, it's like a lot of conversations.
So I had one
It's
teacher
just
tell
about-
me, you know, she can't buy chemicals. She teaches chemistry, and she can't buy chemicals because she can't find a vendor that's registered with West Virginia.
So, I mean, this will get easier once we get through this initial hump. I mean, once we have vendors that we know we can use, it's not going to be that big a deal. But just for right now, it's kind of a lot. So, yeah. And obviously, you guys already have heard about this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, anyway.
So we're not going to vote on that contract, or they are going to vote on the contract?
We're going to vote on it.
You're going to vote on the contract, but
And then
hold
if
it, we're going to hold it, you're not going to
I'm
sign it
listening.
tonight?
Yes, I'll, when you all talk to them and clarify, you just holler at me and I'll
Okay.
stop and sign it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and trips, if they have any questions.
Oh.
They're all the, I think these vehicles,
Right. Okay.
except that one down there, Mountain Evo's going to Dollywood County Bus.
Okay, so,
Last three.
yeah, and all these, the band trips there are funded from Band Boosters. And these other, when these schools go on field trips, then that's, you know, that's funded by their fundraising efforts at the school. And sports trips mostly are funded by levy unless the school has funds to, if they want to use to cover those.
This is kind of off track here, but do you all require them, if they want to take a field trip like in May, do you require them ahead of time, like so many days to, I know some of them wait till last minute and it makes it hard on your busing is what I'm asking.
I think the policy says they're supposed to, I think within a week prior to the preceding board meeting.
Because how many bus drivers do we have that we can let go in a day on a trip?
It just depends on where they're going. It honestly depends on where they're going, how long they're going to be there, what time they're leaving. There's a lot of different factors that go into it.
They're after school hours, like
After
if
school
it's
hours?
going to be longer than a school day, not make it back to school.
Then that would have to go to a substitute.
And how many do we have?
Not very many. It depends on, and it depends on how many drivers take off that day. So, on any given, I mean, I would say on any given day, if we have to send out 6 substitutes, that's going to be a stretch. It's a stretch if I were to sit here and say I have 5 to 6 substitutes, they can take a trip tomorrow.
So
that'd be
do you keep track of the days when they ask for them and, you know, think, well, I've got this many drivers and I'll have 10 people want to trip that day, and you know it's ran into problems in the past that we didn't have enough bus drivers to run our regular buses because they were on trips. So
yeah, and it gets bad in the spring. We post everything as trips are approved. As Mr. Green signs off on those trips, we immediately put them on the calendar. We had a discussion with the principals because in the springtime it gets really bad for elementaries and our sports, because like baseball, softball, they're typically leaving early, it requires a substitute. What I've told principals is if we get into where we're taking 4 to 5 different trips in a single day in the springtime, we may have to do some moving around. And I've also asked them, please try to get them in early, take a look at that calendar so we can try to spread them out, because Thursdays and Fridays are pretty popular days for elementary schools to plan trips, and everybody wants to do it on Thursday and Friday, and we just can't accommodate it. There's no way we can. And we're hiring substitutes, but as quick as we hire them, we lose as quick as we get.
I have a procedural question, just to be educated on, no other reason to ask it, but I'm just a little confused. Chris, why are you the one that makes the transportation request?
I'm not. So I wrote the program, and so it uses my email address to automate that. And so I don't see those.
Well, it just says requested by Chris Hanshaw.
Yeah.
So I don't even know who's making the request.
I used to ask him that all the
Yeah,
time.
no, I just, in the beginning, I wrote that was very early on before the State Department gave us a maintenance account, which is NCDOE flows, and I have never transferred the automation from the background of mine to your.
So you're really not making it?
I don't make any decisions, so that's an approval process. Whenever the teacher, whoever submits that, it electronically goes to the principal, and then they approve or deny that. And after they approve it, it goes to transportation, and then after they approve or deny that, it will go to the superintendent. So my email address is just the account that it uses for that process.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Kristen? All right, thank you very much.
Are we saying we can't approve Mount Nebo yet? Is that?
I would say you can approve Mount Nebo pending the proper paperwork. That's not going to happen until May, I think.
Right.
And I feel sure we're going
Yeah,
to have
until
it
May.
worked out by then.
Okay.
So I think that'll be fine.
Yeah, please.
That's a fun trip. So we would leave Panther Creek about 5 in the morning, get on the school bus, ride to Dollywood, spend all day at Dollywood, feed them, ride all the way back. It's fun.
I noticed that.
It's a fun trip. I'll miss it.
Ooh. They always, everybody thinks when you take a field trip, you're getting the day off.
Yeah, no. And then one night we got back at about 15 after 2 in the morning, and the parent didn't show up to get the kid. And it was one of these ones that lived way down in the hollow. So another lady and myself ended up taking that kid home. We got home about 4 in the morning. But anyway. Thank you.
You'll do that one on Friday, right?
Yes. Okay. Do we have a motion to accept consent items, finance 1 and 2, and the contract included on that, and then the out-of-state travel leased vehicle request?
So moved.
Mr. Ferguson makes a motion. Second by Mr. Moose. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel.
And on professional, number 1, I'm making that recommendation.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I think we'll vote on that one separate.
On which one?
Professional, the first one on professional.
Well, I'm going to ask it, what does LTS stand for?
Oh, long-term sub.
Okay.
Sorry, long-term sub.
All right, gotcha.
I started to type that out.
I should have known that, sir.
Does anybody prefer to vote on that separate? I don't see a problem, but
I mean, you can't.
anybody want to vote on it separate? Okay, we'll just keep them together.
Okay. The rest of it as presented. We do have on service, the number 2, instead of small wood, it should be Smallman.
Any questions?
And we do have the one leave request, requesting to use 8 unpaid days.
Well, that have to be corrected since it was changed, but, I think it said,
Is this what you're talking about?
Is it right on here? That's what he's saying, because it was,
yeah, it was different on the,
Yep, I just, somebody
We
sent it
had
to me
to.
this morning.
it was like 19 days. Always.
so this is right. This is right. The paper copy's right.
What? It said it was changed.
I know, Mr. Reeves, I know what you're saying. Is this what we're looking at, the paper copy? Because the,
Is that what it said? I'm not sure. I just looked at what you had.
This is what I had submitted.
February
Through
19th
the
and March 6th.
flow. That's what's on here, February 19th through March 6th.
Yeah, she's using
Okay.
5 personal
That's
days
it.
and 8 unpaid
Right.
days.
She's
Well,
used-
that's 19 days.
yeah,
Well, you
no,
don't count the weekends.
don't count the
I didn't
weekend.
count the week. No, I didn't count the week. Okay, never mind. I must be wrong.
And it's 13 days.
Yeah, I have 13.
That employee submitted one day, and then she came in and changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
We'll just clarify.
So, yeah, that's what happened, she submitted it, and then she came in and said, oh, they had to change the date of the wedding, because I believe she's going to a wedding.
I see what they're saying. Those dates on here are wrong.
Yeah, the dates on the paper
It's
are wrong.
the
but
highlighted
when-
dates
Then
come up.
the employee came in and said, hey, they changed the date of the wedding.
That's
Now
why I
you
was
change it.
asking you if this is,
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the bottom part's
The
right.
bottom dates are the correct ones, because she changed her submission after she
All right,
submitted.
that's what I thought, but I'm
Okay.
making sure.
And we wish her happiness.
It's her son, I think.
I know,
Okay, anything
I know.
else?
That still makes you happy, when it's your children.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
anything else?
Yeah, that's all, sorry.
Okay, any other discussion on personnel? Do we have a motion to accept the personnel agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. Motion was made by Mr. Moose, second by Mr. Green. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Reports. SESC, Mr. Ferguson.
Nothing to report this time.
Nothing at this time. Right arises, Mr. Green.
We got our computer system up and running really well. The guy came in and done a very good job. He was back online, took good care of us, so, and the staff we have there does a great job. I mean, I can't brag on them enough.
All right, thank you, Mr. Green. Items for future agendas. I believe you had,
Yeah, the RHS football field lights and the sewer at Mixon County High School.
all right, future meeting dates. Special LSIC meeting tomorrow, February 6, 2024, at Nicholas County High School, starting at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. And then next Monday, another special LSIC meeting at Birch River Elementary, starting at 4 p.m. And then next Thursday, we have special work session at the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center, starting at 2 p.m. Regular meeting, February 19th, 2024, at the Nicholas County Board office here, starting at 5:30. The reason we're starting at 5:30 is for the calendar hearing. It will start at 5:30. And I believe that's, yeah, let's see. Executive session, we need an executive session, right, on personnel?
I'd like to request that we move into executive session, to discuss the personnel matter.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Ferguson. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Green. All in favor? Aye. At 7:07.